Welcome to Sips with Scrubs, a nurse podcast where we talk about the good, bad, and ugly of being a nurse. I am your host, Nurse Laney. For those who are new listening, for those who are returning, welcome back for another episode. For those who are watching on YouTube, you guys can see that it's another solo episode. I kind of like doing this with y'all because I'm like just really kind of like rambling and just telling y'all whatever is on my mind at the moment. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys are watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I usually say this in my vlogs. If you're coming back for a second or third time, that means you must like me or something. So you need to go ahead and subscribe. So without further ado, we're going to get into today's sips for the episode. So today we're going to be sipping on water. As y'all might know, I am on my health and wellness journey. Always will be on this journey because it's a journey, okay? So today we're trying to get our water intake in, so I will be sipping on water throughout today's episode. Y'all pour y'all up a glass of wine or whatever suits your fancy right now and sip along with me throughout today's episode. Okay, so today's bad scrub is Mary K. Brown. So, trigger warning, as I've said in previous episodes, for those who are new listening in, this is where we discuss cases where nurses or healthcare professionals have been criminally charged. So, a lot of times it's like drug related. Sometimes it is people ended up causing people death and things of that nature. So if this ain't for you, then go ahead and skip this segment. For those who are like me and are true crime girlies or boys, so today's, like I said, bad scrub today is Mary K. Brown. So investigators were notified back in June 4th on 2022. They were notified about a death at a nursing home, Spring Valley Health and Rehab Center, and that's in Spring Valley, Wisconsin, in which a body had been sent in for autopsy due to unusual circumstances around the person's death. So the medical examiner was called for an autopsy, and after noticing that the foot of the person, who was a 62-year-old male, was not attached to his body but laying beside him at the funeral home, the medical examiner found that the man had been admitted to the nursing home in March of 2022 after he had fallen in his home when the heat went out and had severe frostbite on both of his feet. According to the man's medical chart, his foot was amputated in May of 2022. According to the criminal complaint, Brown was the person who cut the man's foot off. Nurses interviewed as part of the investigation said that Brown removed the foot for compassion and comfort, as the foot was necrotic, had begun to smell, and was barely still attached to the man's body. Some of the witnesses said that the man did not appear to be in any pain during the amputation. There was no blood loss as a result of the procedure, although other witnesses said that the man moaned, quote unquote, as it was being performed, while another said that it was not a very good amputation. Once the foot was removed, Brown instructed staff to place it in a freezer to preserve it. Multiple witnesses said that Brown intended to taxidermy and bronze the foot as a reminder to wear your boots. Wow. Okay. Which one nurse described as weird. Yes, it very much is giving weird. One nurse said that they needed to report the incident to the facility's administrators and to the police. Staff of the nursing home said that Brown did not seek or obtain a doctor's order for the amputation and that it was outside of the scope of her job responsibilities to remove the foot. Brown also did not have permission from the man to perform the amputation. The director of the facility said that Brown did not document the incident and that the procedure should have been done by a doctor. The facility's administrator said that Brown did not report the incident and that the man's chart had a number of missing entries, including on the day of the amputation. Nurses and staff interviewed as part of the investigation all said that Brown did not commit the act out of malice for the man. The facility's administrator said that she was attempting to provide the man's dignity and comfort and that he believed a doctor would have ordered the procedure. So, the rehab facility issued out a statement, but the nurse is facing up to 40 years in prison on each of the original felony charges, as well as 6 additional years in prison for each charge due to the enhancers. And she also faces a maximum penalty of $100,000 per charge. She faces up to 6 years in prison and a 10,000 fine for the added charge of intentionally abusing patients. So she is scheduled to appear in court on March 9th, which is actually today's date, I think, that I'm recording. Oh no, that was actually yesterday. So we're recording right now on March 10th. So that is interesting. She did have like a an appearance already in the court back in so December she was on bond, released on bond, and then I think in February she had an appearance in court, and that's when they charged her with several other things. So they charged her with physical abuse of an elderly person, intentionally causing great bodily harm and mayhem. And then those are the charges that carried an enhancer due to the victim being an elder person. And then she also received a new charge on that day of intentionally abusing patients, causing great bodily harm, with an enhancer of the victim being an elderly person. So excuse me, that was back in February, that they added some of those additional charges onto her, and she pleaded not guilty, and then that's when she was set for arraignment. So very interesting case, at least it is for me, because I'm like, girl. So how many times have we had some of these bad scrubs like doing stuff outside of their scope of practice? Like, it's just like y'all doing too much. Just do your job. And why you just didn't ask the doctor for an order? It's not like you asked for them for an order and then they said no. You just did it. So it's just kind of like the bystanders were saying that they believe that the doctor would have ordered the same thing. So it's like, okay, so you knew what to do. Why you just didn't ask them to do it instead of just going ahead and doing it yourself? Then it was crazy. So this is part of the problem, I think, when people do commit crimes, because it's like, okay, you know you're doing wrong, so you can't even say that, oh, I don't know, I didn't think I was doing anything bad. Because if you didn't think you were doing anything bad, then you would have charted appropriately and things of that nature. So you can't even like use that for an excuse like, oh, I just thought that like I could just go ahead and do it and I didn't think it'd be a problem or whatever. Like, you didn't chart certain things, so that means like you're covering up stuff. So that's like, you know what's going on. And then I do think it's very, I would argue that that's not, maybe you could say she did it for compassion and comfort or whatever she was trying to say, but at the same time it's very weird that you were going to try to taxidermy the foot and say that this was going to be a reminder to other people to wear your boots and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, did you do it for that? That's definitely reasonable, but reasonable doubt in my book. But y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comments, because that's very interesting that people be getting caught up in stuff like that. Girl, this is not TV. We cannot do whatever we want. Despite what The Resident and Grey's Anatomy and all these medical shows will have you believe in, how they be practicing medicine on these people out here in the streets. We cannot do that, girl. So that's today's bad scrub. As I said, if y'all have any additional comments, y'all definitely let me know down below in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say regarding that. Today's episode is going to be a What Would Laney Do episode. So we're going to be talking about different nurses' experiences. They're asking questions and telling us about what they've been through as a nurse and what do we think about it and things of that nature. So I have a couple of questions that we'll go over. I'll give my opinion on, and y'all can let me know down in the comment section on YouTube if you guys are watching on YouTube, what y'all think about each situation or whatever. And for those who are just listening on the podcast, y'all can head over to Sips with Scrubs on Instagram if y'all want to let me know what y'all think over there as well. So I'm looking forward to talking about this because it really exposes like people to like different things, like I said, that nurses experience, because sometimes it's easy to get caught up in your bubble in like what your hospital does or even like what your unit does. And it's kind of like interesting to see that people can be experiencing the same thing, but they're like 2 states away and things like that. That's part of the reason why I like the podcast, because I get to talk to you guys about my nurse experiences and what I've seen, and I've mentioned before in other episodes, I am a float pool nurse, so I have a unique experience where I get to see, like, go to different units and like observe. Like, I'm kind of like an outsider, like, like when you go in a people's house or whatever, and you're a kid, like you spending the night over there, so you get to see like the inner happenings of people, family dynamics, but but I'm not a part of this though. So it's kind of giving that vibe. So I get to see a lot of different things, and like I'll be thinking to myself like, "Oh, this how y'all do it over here? Oh, okay," type of stuff. So this is similar in that aspect because we're going to be hearing from different people' point of views. So without further ado, we're going to begin with the first. What will Laney do? So this nurse says, Good morning, everyone. I was reading a post in another group by this black male school nurse and his struggles with the pronoun binary, non binary topic. Is anyone else experiencing this regularly? Are the patients nice / polite when they correct you? A curious mind wants to know. Okay, so I know this is a thing for people now, especially like I've had conversations with teachers about this and how students may want to address them, how students want the teachers to address them, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like the same thing too for us patients, nurse patient relationship. I haven't encountered this regularly. I probably encountered this only a couple of times. And I already kind of don't talk to people anyway with the whole do I don't think I say yes ma'am or no ma'am or yes sir or no sir or anything that's like gender specific and at work anyway. I do know I be calling people girls and stuff like that. Like you be like girl, but I'm like I don't talk to my patients like that. So I don't ever have any problems with it. On some charting systems, they will tell you the patient's preference if they've like told like went out of their way and to tell somebody and they got it put in the chart, but that's not like all the time. But honestly, like I said, I've not dealt with this personally. A lot of times I probably dealt with it maybe twice. And I just call people what they want to be called, or I don't call them anything at all because I really don't care. It's like this is a patient and I'm here for your healthcare needs. So I'm not saying I don't care in the sense of I'm saying I don't care in the sense of do what you want to do type of thing. Like this doesn't impact me. And that's kind of like with anything regarding politics, religion, and stuff like that. I'm not really here for that. I'm here to help you with what's going on and what brought you into the hospital now. So everything else outside of that, like I don't really care about. So I'm not one of them people that get offended or however people may feel in those sort of situations because that's I guess my boundary with patients. I do have people that try to strike up conversation with me about what they think and stuff like that, but I kind of just let them talk and I listen type of thing. I don't give too much of my input unless it's kind of like not even I just be like, oh, I thought this or I thought this, like nothing like too in depth. And then like I'm not in there long enough for you be really just to be engaged in conversation like that anyway, and that type of conversation because like I said, I'm here for like your healthcare needs, so I'm pretty much focusing on that and talking to you more so about that. So I haven't had any problems with that. And like I said, I haven't encountered it regularly. And then the other thing she asked was, are the patients nice / polite when they correct you? I think if it's a big deal for people, they'll tell you what you want. They will tell you what they want to be called. Otherwise, they'll just, I don't feel like anybody's like assuming that people just know because people don't know. Like, how am I supposed to know that's what you want to go by or whatever? And as part of like the whole aided, acknowledge wait no what is it called, introduction, duration, what's the first one, is that it's not acknowledgement, whatever, the whole thing when you go in the patient room, you're supposed to be like, hey, I'm Lainey, I'm your nurse for today, I'll be here until 7 o'clock tonight, so I'll be taking care of you, that whole thing. Aided is the acronym or whatever they call those things where it's like abbreviated. You can ask the patient because you ask them like what would you prefer to be called if like the nurse didn't tell you in the report. Most of the time they'll be like, oh, their name is this, but they prefer to be called Bob. So if they haven't told you that and you just really want to know and you want to be like sensitive towards people, you can ask them what do they prefer to be called by and what would they be preferred, what are their preferred pronouns. But honestly, I really don't take the time out to do all that myself. like I said, I don't really gender specify people, or however you say that. I don't really call people by their gender anyway, because I don't know how that really comes up in conversation, unless it's like I'm talking to somebody else. But always say this patient or the patient. I don't say like him, her, or whatever. So that's my experience with it. Y'all let me know down below in the comments. Have y'all had any issues with that, or ways or tips for people who are I don't know what that is it called? It's not a culture. What is it called? I don't know, community, I guess you could say. For people in that community who wants to educate us, definitely let us know down below in the comments so that we could take that with us into our practice. But like I said, I don't have too much personal experience with that. Okay, so the next one is I worked at a facility for a year and my manager has never spoken to me. Am I being too sensitive? So, I mean, if somebody asked me this, I'd be like, being too sensitive with what? Because you didn't really tell us anything that you would be sensitive about. I'm just guessing that what are you in your feelings about that she never talked to you or he never talked to you? Because in that point, then it's kind of like, okay, well, say something, I guess. Like one of them people that's like, if you got a problem with somebody, tell them that. Like, how they supposed to know you got a problem with them unless you tell them. Now, for me, I would think it's weird. I know in the beginning of my nursing career, I used to like stay away from the managers and like I'd be like, I don't want to talk to you type of thing. Like, if I got to talk to you, I will. But other than that, I'm not trying to strike up a conversation. And I guess you could say I'm kind of still like that. I don't really talk to them unless I need to talk to them. I don't really like trying to be friends with upper management like that. And that's like not no shade. It's just like I don't know, professional boundaries, I guess you could say. So I have not had like a friendship with upper management. I've known coworkers who are friends with their managers, and I'm like, okay, I guess, but that's just not me. So for the beginning of my nursing career, I did not try to like talk to my managers, but as a seasoned nurse, I think it is rude of a manager to not talk to an employee that's definitely been around for this amount of time. I think it's very odd because you have to have. I thought most workplaces had those little check in things y'all got to do, like the monthly reviews or whatever they're called. I know y'all definitely got yearly reviews, but as a new person, I thought they have like stuff where they check in on you every couple of months or something to see how you like the unit and as if there anything you need. So I think it's very unprofessional to like not have talked to an employee that been working at your facility for a year. I feel like as upper management, you should know who's working. I don't want to say for you, but you know who you're trying to take care of. Essentially, I don't feel like you could be a very good manager if you're not talking to your employees. So I feel like it's rude. I feel like it's rude with charge nurses because in my situation now with folk pool nurse, I'll go to a unit and I will think that it's kind of odd if the charge nurse doesn't try to identify themselves to me at some point during the shift. Like, hey, I'm the charge nurse. Let me give you a quick orientation, or have you been up here before, or anything like that. I feel like that's just like polite. But like I said, if you got a problem with it, I definitely will let them know because maybe I don't want to say okay, they know they didn't talk to you. Okay, but maybe they don't know that you're offended by it, I guess I could say. So definitely reach out and let them know that you're feeling some type of way about it. Now, if you're feeling some type of way about it, well, you can't not be feeling some type of way about it because why else would we be talking about this? So you must be feeling some type of way. So definitely reach out and be like, hey, you know, we haven't talked for a year. Like that is weird. Like how do you not talk to somebody for a whole year? Like as even like a normal coworker is weird. Okay, I think people should speak, but I'm from the south, so even like with regular people, I feel like you should at least say hey. Like if we make eye contact, I need to wave at you and say hey, okay. So that's just how I feel about it. All right, next, what would Laney do? This nurse says, so I want to know what you would have done in my situation. I work agency nights on a telemetry med-surg unit and have been there 6 months. I have 13 years of experience. I watch the monitor when I'm at the nursing station. A patient has been tacking away over 120 for more than an hour. I went to the patient's nurse, who is a new nurse. She looks at the monitor and then goes to the patient. She came out and asked what the heart rate was, and I said 121. She comes back to the monitor and I asked if the patient had something PRN that would help, and she said metoprolol. I asked if his blood pressure was adequate, and she said no. I asked her to contact the doctor for something to control the heart rate without dropping the pressure. She just stares at the monitor. I said, I'm telling you as an experienced nurse that you have to address this right away. She said she was the nurse and basically to mind my business. She eventually went to the doctor and got cardizem. I told the charge nurse that I was just trying to help. Then another patient on continuous pulse ox is alarming at 88%. I asked who was the nurse, and it was the same nurse. After how she responded with the last interaction, I just told the charge nurse, and she went into the patient's room and they had on a nasal cannula, but it wasn't connected to the oxygen, it was on the floor. So she connected the patient and said nothing to the nurse. When the manager arrived, I spoke with her about it and gave her the strips of the patient alarming. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, but if a patient is in jeopardy, I have to do something. Was I wrong? I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I think it's just because maybe it must be because of situations I've been in, but I've been here before, but I think I reacted differently. Um, I don't want to necessarily think or say she was wrong, but what patient was in jeopardy? Because you've already talked to the nurse about it. See, I'm at the I'm think like this is my thing. If you talk to the nurse about it and she said okay, and then she did something about it, I wouldn't have went to my charge nurse, and that's kind of how she explains it because she said that she was the nurse or whatever, and then she went to the doctor and got cardizem. After that, she told the charge nurse about this situation and that she was just trying to help. So I guess your feelings was hurt because she didn't listen to you, but then in the way she did, I'm like, you don't really know where people head at when they're making their decisions. Like maybe she was just trying, who knows? Maybe she just had like a lag period. Like people don't act as fast as other people. So maybe she was trying to get herself together before she went to talk to the doctor, or maybe she was trying to think about what she wanted to do or whatever. And then, but at the end of the day, she went to the doctor and she got the order. So at that point, I would have dropped it. The only way I would have um, said something to the charge nurse about it is that if I know she didn't ever tell the doctor about it and the patient was persistently still in the 120s and she hadn't done anything about it. Other than that, I would have left it alone at that point. So I definitely wouldn't have escalated it to the manager because it's like y'all know the chain of command, or for those who aren't familiar, you do, the charge nurse, and then if the charge nurse doesn't do something about it, then you go to the manager. So the charge nurse, I mean, like I said, the nurse already had took care of that one patient, and then the other patient started desaturating and went to 88%. It's the same nurse, okay? You didn't want to talk to the nurse about it because she basically told you to leave her alone with the other patient and that she was going to handle it. So for me, because honestly, I don't really care one of what people think about me, so I don't care if I'm really getting on your nerves. It's my obligation to tell you, and if you don't do nothing about it, that's you and your nursing license, and that's not my patient. That's sad to say, but sometimes it has to get to that point because you just can't be out here like you don't have energy to be trying to save everybody, and then now you doing multiple people jobs. Like no. So it's my duty to let you know, like, hey, your other patient is 88% now. Like I would have still said something. I wouldn't have not like I wouldn't have went to the charge nurse on that at that point. I still would have told the nurse. Then if the nurse wouldn't have done anything about it, then I would have went to the charge nurse. But I'm not very like a very sensitive person, so that's why I would have taken that route. So you went to the charge nurse, that's fine because you didn't want to deal with her. And then she just put the oxygen back on the patient. Okay. I feel like at that point it's done. Like what you want them to do? I don't know. Like, cause a lot of the times with stuff like this, it's kind of like, what's my end result, or what do I want to result out of this? Like, what was the point of you telling the manager, where you, because it seems like these things happen right after the other. So, like, what did you expect the nurse to do if she's trying to handle this patient with the cardizem drip or cardizem whatever? Maybe it's a pill. If she's trying to get this patient situated or whatever, and then her other patients start going off, like what you want her, like what was the need to bring the manager in on at that point? Because it's like The charge nurse had already taken care of it. So now at this point, you didn't bypass the charge nurse. Okay, so I'm rereading this as I'm talking to y'all, right? So she says she connected the patient, like the charge nurse went in the room, connected the patient back up to the oxygen, and then she said nothing to the nurse. So when the manager got there, she talked to the manager about it. So I'm like, I guess you wanted the charge nurse to say something to the nurse. I've been here before. That's why I'm trying to puzzle piece this all together. Like I said, I just would have did things a little bit differently. Um, but I have had talked to managers about nurses who I felt like were putting patients at risk, but that was after I've already talked to the nurse and the charge nurse and they didn't do anything. And it wasn't like in this situation, the nurse went in the room, like notified the doctor or whatever and got an order. And then for the patient just to be on 88%, that's not a big deal to me. And then you find that their oxygen is not on. Like, he might have threw it on the floor. He might have been confused. Like, anything could have happened. It wasn't, they could have pulled it off the thing because it said it wasn't connected to the oxygen. It was on the floor. Okay, so maybe they had it in their nose, but the other end piece was on the floor. It might have not been a nurse. You don't ever know, like, who be up in that room and they be touching stuff and playing with stuff. I don't know. Or they could have been trying to reach for something and it came off the thing and then it was on the floor. So, like, I wouldn't have, like, said anything to the manager because of that. So that's why I'm saying that that's not what I would have done, but if you feel like that's what you had to do because you felt like the patient is at risk, I wouldn't say that you were wrong for doing that. I just wouldn't have went about it that way. Um I just try to tread carefully because you never know how things are going to come back around. Like something might happen to one of your patients. And sometimes people are petty and they hold that against you and they be like, I'm not going to help you and stuff like that. And also, you might make your own mistake or something might be going on with your patient and then she sees it and she might hold that against you that way as well. So not only for those reasons, but for the other reasons I've listed before, I just would have went about it a little bit differently. But I feel like if you think people are in danger and you need to tell somebody, I feel like do what you got to do. Because at the end of the day, patient safety. I just don't feel like the patients were in danger because she already had got an order and then this patient was 88%. If the patient was like 70%, like maybe I would be like a little bit more concerned because it's like, what? But at the same time, like I said, you don't know what the situation was like regarding the patient. Like maybe they accidentally pulled it off out the wall. Like you just don't know. So I feel like I try to give people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Now, if this is a pattern, and for the people I did say something about to my manager and charge nurses, it wasn't a one-time event. For one-time events, I talk to the nurse one-on-one and then I educate them as best as possible, or I say what I feel like I need to say, and whatever they choose to do with that, all right. Now, if I encounter something again that's similar to this, and we've talked about this before, and I told you about it before, and you said what you had to say, and you ain't taking care of people, then I'm gonna go talk to the charge nurse and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on," or whatever. And then, if the charge nurse don't do nothing about it, you gotta give people time to do stuff about it, right? You don't know what them people doing. Maybe she was gonna talk to her about it at the end of the shift. But I feel like you kind of just went through stuff too fast. Like it didn't have to be this quick, Like this sounds like it happened like right after the other. Y'all let me know. Maybe y'all do y'all feel like the pacing of the story happened like right after the other, or did it happen like some time went by? Because it seemed to me like it would happen like boom, boom, boom. Like you didn't give people a chance to do anything. So maybe the charge nurse was going to talk to her, but she was going to do it at the end of the shift or once everything calmed down. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like you jumped the gun. But I won't ever say that it's wrong to say something if you feel like the people were in jeopardy, because I don't want to discourage people from speaking up because something could have happened. And if you didn't say anything, then that would suck. So that's where I'm at with that. Y'all let me know about that one down below in the comments, as well as all the other ones going forward. Our next one talks about if you put someone's name on an application and they receive a referral bonus, should they give you a percentage of the money? So I believe I've talked about this before on a previous episode. I don't remember how long ago that was, but I don't think my standpoint has changed on this from last time, but I've encountered people who have done stuff with referral bonus and sign on bonuses. I feel like whatever the company give to you, that's your money, and you're not entitled to other people's money. I feel like it's nice if someone offers it. Like if someone's like really putting a good word for you, right? And then like, because they talk to their manager, they really put you on. If you feel inclined to give somebody a piece of your sign on bonus, I feel like it should be offered. I don't feel like you should be demanding. And it seems like in a lot of these situations, people be demanding for the money and people don't have to do anything. Why do you think that? Like, if you wanted to refer somebody to that unit, you should just refer them out the goodness of your heart, not because you wanted some money. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it anyway. It's kind of like with like loaning people money. I don't believe in loaning people money. Either I'm gonna give you the money, or if you want to give it to me back, I'm not gonna say no. But I don't give stuff to people expecting stuff back. Like if I'm trying to help you out the bond, I'm kind of just like I'm giving this to you, and then if I get it back, cool. I'm not really just like loaning people money like that, and then hounding them down like, oh, where's my money at? I do understand why people do that because if you said it's a loan, then let it be a loan. But I'm just not that. I'll just give it to you, you know. And so like with this situation, like I said, if it's the people money, whoever the company decides to give that money to is that person's money. If I offer to give you a piece of it, it's that a offering. Like I don't think anybody should be out here demanding stuff from other people or whatever. So that's where I stand on that. I've had a coworker tell us about her situation one time. I feel like if y'all agreed upon it beforehand, before any money or anything was involved, if that person says, I'm looking for a job right now, I'm going to put you down as a referral person in order for you to get a referral bonus too. And since I'm putting you down, can I get a percentage of it? And y'all agree to it and y'all say yes, then you should. But I feel like it should be an agreement, not something that's like after the fact, like, oh, I could have put anybody down, but I picked you so you could get a piece of it or whatever. And that's what's happened in one of my coworkers' cases. But I think that the person did that because she is an easy target. I feel like they knew that they could get it out of her, and that's why they did it. That's how I feel about it because she did give them that money, and I wouldn't have. If you wanted to put anybody else down, then you should have put anybody else down. But you put me down, so I'm gonna get the referral bonus. I don't feel like you, like I said, I don't feel like you should be out here demanding stuff out of people. Like, what gives you the right? And that's where I stand on that. But I know a lot of people differ on this topic, so y'all tell me what y'all think about what I said. But that's how I feel about it. If you need money that bad, then you need to pick up a shift. Like, it's not that deep. Okay, last question is, y'all, I need help. The nurse says, I will be graduating in May and I currently have two job offers that I'm split about. Please let me know which one you would pick. Background, I live in South Carolina. I'm a single mother of four kids, trying to purchase a home on my own to provide for my family. So the job one is GI/urology med surge, which she's not a fan of. She'd be working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 a to 7 p, and the cost is 52 to 57 per hour and up to $7,000 sign-on bonus. Job two is NICU. It's her dream job. Nights vary. Oh, and I forgot to mention, job one is on day shift. This one is nights vary, so I guess maybe she pick her schedule or they pick her schedule for her. It's on nights, as I said. And the pay is 32 to 37 per hour and up to $5,000 sign-on bonus. So this, like I said, is her dream job, and job one is the one that she's not really caring about, but it's day shift. It costs more, and the sign-on bonus is more. So which one would you pick with her situation? So she's single mom, she's four kids, and you trying to get a house, so it's not like you need some money. But I feel like everybody tolerance is different. Like whatever you pick, I feel like you need to be able to commit to. So if you pick job two, then you need to get a house where you could afford job two, since that one is less money, and you got four kids. So honestly, I think it depends on your financial situation. Like And I know you're trying to get a house. So you need to have money in order to sustain the house as well as money for your kids. So I feel like it also depends on what her final financial situation currently is at the moment. And would that job, that's her dream job, be able to sustain that lifestyle? So I feel like that's what it would come down to, is the financial bit. Um, you know, for me, I'm different, but this is what Would Laney do, right? What Would Laney do might pick that job that makes the more money. Albeit, I know for a fact. Oh, and then since we talking about all these kids, I feel like it depends on the age of the kids. Cause you a single mom, you got 4 kids, so I feel like it also depends on my support system. Because one job is day shift, but it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so they out of school on Saturday and Sunday. So do you have somebody to watch these kids, or like what you doing? And then the other one's night shift, so it's kind of like I hear people with kids that's able to work nights. They get off. Well, I guess we might get off too late for you to drop them off at school. But I've heard some people, they get off work, they get their kids together for the day, and then they send them about their way, and then they sleep during the day. And then, but then when you're gone at night, you're gonna have somebody to have to watch them. So I feel like it also depends on your support system too, and who would be able to watch the kids and when, you know? So this is a lot to think about. Man, being a parent is hard, bro. So it's not so simple as your dream job versus another job, because you got other people relying on you. So you definitely need to think about the financial situation and your support system. And then I feel like what you want to do is like kind of last, like it'll be a perk if it does work with that. But I don't feel like it's priority because you got a lot of kids. And I mean, if you want to sacrifice your house in order to make the dream job work as far as money goes, then I mean, that's one thing. But like I said, I think that also still depends on who will be able to watch your kids. So I would prioritize it that way. I would prioritize it how much money I need or need to like sustain my life or whatever I'm trying to do, or how much do I need to get by on at the bare minimum. Do Which one supports my life more as far as financially, and like with the whole watching the kids thing, like, and which one would have them being a part of your life? Because I don't think you just want to go to work all the time and not be worried about your kids. I feel like you'd want to be a part of your kids' life. So I feel like I'd have to factor that in too. And then the fact that it's like which one I prefer, like the type of job, I think that comes last. So that's what I would do. That's a very unique situation, but I guess that's everyday life. I don't have kids right now, so I'm just kind of like, dang. And then I'm not single either. So it's just like, it's like a lot to contend with. So you definitely gonna have to put yourself on the back burner to make ends work. So that's where I'm at with that one. As I've been saying throughout today's episode, definitely let me know what you guys think about any of these scenarios, which y'all would do, what y'all think about what I said I would do. And we're about to close today's episode. So we're going to scrub and sip. All right. So I need to think about what I'm going to scrub. Mm, let's see. I'm scrubbing my impatience because I know I'm an impatient person. I've been working on it. I think at times it is better depending on what the situation is. And at times I feel like, girl, you still at the same place like as before. I'm like, I get very like irritated with like repeating myself. That's one of the things I don't have a lot of patience with. Like once I say something, I just don't really want to say it multiple times. And you have to talk a lot as a nurse and ask the same or answer the same questions over and over and over again. And since where I've currently been working at is ER holds, so I've been holding patients in the ER until they get a room upstairs. I get asked the same question a lot by different people multiple times throughout the day. So, I might see like 10 patients in a day or something like that. Everybody wants to know when there's a doctor coming by. Everybody wants to know when am I going to get a room upstairs. Everybody wants to know when the MRI is going to be. And over again, I'm having to tell them, I'm not sure. MRI does not tell me their schedule. I don't know what time they'll pick you up. The doctors come by at all times during the day. There's no set time for the doctors to come by, so I'm not sure what time they'll come by. And it's a lot of I don't knows, I don't knows, I don't knows, I don't knows this. Well, you can't call them to make them move it up. You can't call the doctor. Is the doctor in the building? Do you know where they're at? No, I don't know. The doctor doesn't tell me where they are. They don't come and call me and tell me they're in the building. I don't know where these people are. I'm here with you. That's all I know. So I get like very impatient with that, and I'm scrubbing that because I want to work on that because I don't want to be irritated. And that's not really something to be irritated about, and I know that. So I'm going to work on that. I go back to work tomorrow. So I'm going to practice, you know? But I'm scrubbing that. I don't really like being irritated. I mean, like, who does, right? So I know that that's something I need to work on. So I'm scrubbing that, and I'm sipping into, I'm about to say minding my business. I really want to like just have like a good shift. Like, I'm sipping to them shifts that like fly by, and you like, dang, it's 4 o'clock already. Like, I'm sipping to that because it'd be like, dang, I was only here. It didn't even feel like I was here that long. So I'll sip to the shifts that's like that because they're very much appreciated and needed. Like sometimes 12-hour shifts seem like 16-hour shifts. Sometimes it'd be like, dang, I've been here all day. And then sometimes it'd be like, dang, like today really flew by and I barely noticed. And I'm sipping to those days because it's very nice to have a shift fly by and you don't notice. So I'm sipping. Cheers to you guys, whatever y'all sipping to for today's week. I hope everybody has a good work week going forward, whether you're a nurse or not. Hopefully, you guys have a good week. Sending light positivity towards your way. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Bye.